New technology working its way through the world.
Hey, All Things MSP crew. And that technology change that Justin is referring to is the fact that we have switched to StreamYard to record the podcast and the video, obviously, for the podcast as well. If you're listening, you probably won't notice a thing. If you're watching, you'll just notice that it has a little bit different format. This is one of those things that we are able to do now that we have sponsors. Thank you to our sponsors to improve the quality and the consistency and all the stuff that we do here for you. So thanks again to our sponsors, and hope you enjoy the new technology. SuperOps is actively engaged in helping all MSPs improve their business. If you did not attend one of their super summits in 2023, all is not lost. They've taken some of the great content shared at those events and turned them into ebooks. The first one is called Skyrocketing MSP Revenue from 1 million to 10 million Do's and Don'ts with Dave Patel from Build Right. It contains 12 pages of helpful tips and guidance for MSPs to grow their revenue. Check it out. There's a link in the description, or go to atmsp.link/SuperOps ebook 1. A big thanks to SuperOps for sharing this kind of content with the community.
For those who, if this ever makes the air, today when we're recording is January 19th, Apple Vision Pro is up for pre-order. And when you buy it, you then have to go in store to get it fitted or whatever. And Apple released some awesome new videos on YouTube's where you can see, like, one, how it's made, which it's mostly glue, which is a little concerning. And the other one is they did like a video where they like had someone who's never used it before, like, try out all these features, which seems cool enough, but like there's no I want the backstory. Where's the origin of Will? Where does he come from? Is that his apartment? What does he do for a living? Because his email said something about the Mars rover, but then when he was doing work stuff, he was doing 3D animation of like a marble going through a tube. There was just not enough cohesion there. And then all of a sudden, the person who was helping him from Apple was like, put these on. You're going to get a phone call. And you're like, is Tim Cook calling Will? No, it's Nina from the internal HR department over at Apple just being like, hi, I'm calling you from my computer. This is what it looks like. Someone else is going to call you next. And I'm like, this is too scripted for him to have never used it before. But I want to know if people are going to order it or not. Did you order one?
I did not order one.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the All Things MSP podcast. I'm your host, Justin Esgar. With me always is my good friend, podcast producer extraordinaire, not New Year's baby because it's been a couple of weeks, still having a lightsaber battle behind him because he still can't figure out how hues work, Mr. Eric Anthony. Eric, we got a lot of colors happening. We got red, blue, we got orange, we got brown, black. We got a...
Don't diss my hues.
You can't see it on camera, but I actually have two blue ones shining on the outsides of my couch. New system, wider Justin. That sounded wrong. New Year's resolution failed. Wider Justin. That's better. That's more accurate. It's freezing down here in my basement office, which is why I'm wearing. It looks like I just came in from the outside. Side note: one of my favorite SNL bits is when Bobby Moynihan used to pretend to be Chris Christie from the state of New Jersey, and he's wearing a fleece indoors. And I think it was the current news anchors, and it was Che and Jost, and they said, you could take the fleece off, and he just goes, it's stuck to my body.
Well, it is a lovely 51 degrees here in Raleigh, North Carolina. However, tomorrow, it's going to be 20 degrees in the morning.
You're getting what I have. You're getting the snow is coming through. My son already had a half day, and my daughter has like a 3/4 day. I got to go pick her up. She can wait. It's fine. I'd rather record and hang out with my friends. We have other friends on today. We have some guests. Love it when we have a guest on the show. Actually, today we have two guests, which means I love it when we have guests on the show. Miss Marnie Stockman and Nick Coniglio. I did it that way on purpose because I don't want to screw up his name because everyone says that they screw it up. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Real quick, because there's two of you, so you're going to split the time. Each of you take about a minute. Tell everybody who you are, We'll get into why you're here in a second, and then tell everybody who's your favorite character from Ted Lasso as a nice little layup to what we're talking about today.
Perfect. I guess I'll get started. Nick Coniglio. First and foremost, I'm a diehard New York Jets fan, so I just have to get that out there. Just so hopefully I get some sympathy. But really, I am. I've been in technology since the '90s. I have worn many hats. I've been a computer programmer. I have run a consulting organization, specifically around BI, data warehousing. I've been part of a number of companies, startup companies, SaaS platforms. Hit my biggest mark in K-12 education, where we delivered a solution that tested millions of students across the country. But most recently, along with Marnie, two other co-founders, Alex Furman and Kurt Davis, we started Lifecycle Insights. From there, it's a customer success platform for those that don't know, obviously in the MSP space. Hopefully you've heard of us. But yeah, most recent project is all about sharing our experiences and what we've learned in our framework, and we wrote a book about it. So that's all about me.
Who's your favorite character?
Oh, my favorite character. I'm a skeptic. So I know it goes against the grain a little bit. A lot of people don't like Beard, but I'm a pretty big Coach Beard fan myself. It changes every week, by the way, but that's where I am this week. So
I was like, I want to say all of them. Yeah. I'm Marnie Stockman. I started out as a high school math teacher and then landed as CEO of Lifecycle Insights. So the normal path that folks get to, to running a software company. But in the middle there, I was customer success for the ed tech company that Nick spoke about. And so that is really where we kind of built our framework and strategy around customer success and growing raving fans. And that's how to grow a business. I always jokingly say, since I was a high school math teacher, that that means I was selling pre-calc to 16-year-olds. So I know something about selling. But one of the unique things about Lifecycle Insights is we didn't have salespeople, that we really wanted to grow based on raving fans. And I am a raving fan of Ted Lasso as well. I most resonate with Ted, but Trent Krim is a current favorite today. But like Nick said, if you ask me in 6 minutes, I'm going to pick Keely or Roy. So I'll just stop there.
It's funny because that everyone says that expression, if you can't do, teach. Marnie, you went from teaching to doing, because I've known you for a while and I've seen some of the stuff from Lifecycle Insights, and I didn't know you were a teacher until I was reading the book. Which, by the way, we're talking today about Lead Like Lasso, hence the Ted Lasso reference, a book that Marnie and Nick wrote together, a leadership book for life, your life, unofficial, unauthorized, and uncensored. We'll get into this in a second. I do feel like a talk show host today. But I've known you for a while, and I didn't know about you being a teacher, and so I was like, oh, she broke the mold.
It's interesting. Today I heard somebody say that blogs are introverts' way of doing podcasts. But they also, in the same conversation, said that when you write or teach, you really crystallize your own thinking, which is true about teaching, right? To be honest, what a strategy I often used in teaching was to help have the students teach other students, because if you're going to try to explain it to somebody else, you really have to know it. So I'll argue with if you can't do teach piece, but that's just because that's in my core.
Yeah. I find myself doing that when I'm thinking through a process, right? I'm drawing it out. I may share it on Facebook, right? I've done that a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, where I've been just mapping out some thoughts and putting it out there for other people to kind of just comment on.
Yeah, it helps.
I think one of the things about just our success with Lifecycle Insights and how important it was to have Marnie involved with, obviously, the whole company. But one of the things that we really needed to do, especially since we were coming in from a different space, right? We came in from K-12 into the IT services community, but QBRs were really well established in other industries, and in the MSP community when we first entered it, they were being talked about, right? But not everybody really know how to do them. So part of our whole go-to-market strategy was around education, and having Marnie's background and experience being a teacher, I think was absolutely critical in the success of Lifecycle Insights. And it's funny that you keyed in on that, because it's one of the reasons why we're here today is her ability to educate and present things in such a way that people grasp. And it's been pretty darn important to our success.
Well, that's awesome. And yeah, I was going through this today, the last couple of days. And number one, I like Coach Beard. For anyone who hasn't seen Ted Lasso, go stop being lazy. Go watch the show, Eric. But I really, sorry, I blew up your spot. I'm sorry. I like Coach Beard. The thing about Coach Beard was always like, what I always got about him was that he's always reading in all these scenes, right? If you watch like the nuance, the way the show is done, Coach is always reading a book. It's never the same book. But for me, he's always learning, right? So many of us try to learn on the fly, especially in our industry. We're trying to learn on the fly. We're trying to read a Google, Microsoft knowledge base article, which makes zero sense. Marnie, do me a favor, get a job at Microsoft and rewrite all their crap. But like his continual learning, I think, is such an important piece, because he wasn't just learning about soccer or football. He was learning about all of these different things. And if you really stop to look at the book that he's reading, like he spawns so many different genres. And I think it's important for us as MSP owners to do the same.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, in part of the book, we have Beard's bookshelf. So after every character, we say, if we were Coach Beard, we would assign you these books, because they're sort of, here's some strengths and weaknesses you have, and you might like some of these and you might need some of these. Yeah, so I'm a huge reader. That was fun for me to watch in the show, and it was fun for us to add that component to the book too.
Yeah, I did like how you guys broke up. You broke up there. First off, kudos for getting Roy Kent to write your preface.
Legal statement, imaginary
Roy Kent.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. He doesn't listen to the show. And I've often been time, if I'm mad at my kids and I go, my wife will go, stop Roy Kenting. She makes it a verb. But I did like how you made the content here relatable to something in pop culture that, a lot of people have gotten hooked on. I mean, the show itself was so popularized, and for you to take what seems like is common. I'm setting you up here, Marnie. What seems like common sense leadership. You know the line. You can spit it out after me. And to equate it to if you were this character, this is what you would do. Because we always wish we're better, right? We always wish we're these characters from these shows. This is going to sound really stupid, but I watch Fixer Upper with Joanna and Chip Gaines, and I watch how they are with their family, and I'm like, I want to be like Chip Gaines. And I read his book, and by the way, it's horrible. It's like someone wrote it with a crayon. But you put it into perspective of what it takes to be an effective leader from all their perspectives. And I think that's really important. So
I'd like to plug in the common sense ain't all that common.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I knew what line we were going with. So one of the things we felt like was really important is our first rule was leadership is life, that everybody needs to be a leader. And even though it's called Lead It Like Lasso, everybody doesn't need to lead like Ted Lasso, right? But everybody's got their own strengths, their own core values, and you really need to identify that for yourself so you can lead your own life in an authentic way to yourself, because we don't want Roy to behave like Ted. We want Roy to behave like Roy. We love that, right? We need the Rebeccas. We need the Keeleys. So we really did try to take an approach of that. There are a lot of different styles of this, and own who you are and know who you are. And then when you learn to lead yourself, then you can lead others as well.
And we kind of made it, going back to what you were saying, Justin, we kind of made that relatable as well, right? So we have an assessment in the book right? That kind of indicates, do you lead it like Ted, or do you lead it like Rebecca? But we even take it a step further, right? So if you lead it like Rebecca, you might have these strengths, right? But here are some areas that you might need to improve upon, right? And I think that's one of the key aspects of learning how to lead yourself, is not only understanding your strengths, but really where to find and how to self-improve. And we're hoping that we give you some hints and some tips and some tricks. We know that these are based on what we've learned over time, and based on a whole lot of books that the person next to me read, right? And we referenced in our book. But sometimes you just need a little bit of a push and a map to move forward, and that's what we were trying to get at. And I'm glad you picked up the relatability factor, because when we were trying to figure out how to present this, we didn't originally pick Lead It Like Lasso. We didn't know where we were going, but one of the key points that we really wanted to have as an outcome was to make it relatable. So it didn't matter if you're in business, if you're a college student, if you're a mom or a dad, find a way to relate concepts, and Ted Lasso is really a perfect way to do that.
I feel like you're opening up an entire bookshelf here. You could do Feel It Like the Flintstones. Music with the Muppets. I don't know.
Right. Taking notes.
Yeah. These are freebies. You can roll with it. So I was reading about the part about the core values, right? You had written about core values yourself, and I equate those not necessarily from a personal standpoint, but from a business standpoint, as what I like to teach, which is the immutable laws of your business, right? For us at Virtual, we have them on our website. Like, these are the your core values are immutable, as something saying like, this is what we're gonna live and die by. This is who we are, right? Am I right in thinking this way, or should I be looking at core values in a slightly different angle?
Well, I think you're dead on from a business perspective, right? I mean, we built Lifecycle Insights. The very first thing we did was bring in and establish our core values. Like, our number one core value was raving fans, right, at Lifecycle Insights. Every decision we made, every interaction with partners, with vendors in the community was measured against raving fans, that one core value. We had others as well, obviously, but in our world, where businesses, from our perspective, where businesses start getting into issues, is really where there's a clash between the core values and how it plays out in the culture, right? That transcends into how you deal with your customers. It transcends into how your employees feel and what type of productivity they have. And one of the things that's different, I think, about our book as compared to just Googling leadership frameworks or anything to that effect, is that we go at it and we have the premise that you start with core values. That is the starting point, as opposed to vision, right? Once you have your core values established, then your vision is reflective of that. And to us, it, as Marnie said, it kind of starts with yourself, but all these principles in our mind are translatable up the scale to teams, to businesses, to church groups. I don't care what you're talking about, right? They translate up the spectrum really, really well.
Yeah, I think probably what happens there is, if your core values aren't your starting point, you can create this vision that actually conflicts with your core values, and it just makes it not realistic.
One thing we find interesting is many people will pick aspirational core values and not actual core values of how their actual behavior is. And a part of that, you'll see on Glassdoor, someone will point out that their culture is not what they claim their core value to be. And that is where there's that disconnect. And those are the companies that don't feel good to work for, right? You go working for a company thinking that it's going to feel a certain way. And when the behaviors don't match what you're claiming your core value is, that's what feels gross.
Yep.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm a core value. We believe in transparency, yet the executive team is hiding everything and anything to not disclose something that they don't want their customers know, their employees know. That's a recipe for disaster, right?
Yeah.
Once that conflict starts happening, it's no good. No
We
point.
try to our core values of our business about, the honor system and what we call the education connection and cool as a cucumber. We try to hold those true. I mean, I think that's for us, it's more from the us to the client side. Internally, I think we probably have different immutable laws. I think that should be allowed and that should be okay. One of the core values I've always tried to put into my team is that, like, family first, right? Like, I don't do that shit where we're like, oh guys, we're a family. Like, I don't do that. We're not a family.
Yeah.
That is not true. But like, I want you to take care of your family first. If you have something that needs to be done, you say to me, hey, I got this thing I got to do, and I'm going to go do it because family first. And I think I've established that within our organization with anyone who's coming on about that. There's probably some other places I can probably work on in terms of, like, there's like a weird blur between core values and then like how that leaks into processes that have to get done within the company. I feel like, and the fact that, and let's bring it back to Lasso, right? Ted had Beard, Ted had Kent, Ted had Nick for a while. And even Higgins, to help not only lean on, but to help to disperse the different pieces, to divert, what's the word I'm thinking? To delegate his like different components of the value, because maybe Beard was better at one of the core values that they had as a company and as a team than Ted did.
Yep.
Well, and we talk in the book a lot about your diamond dogs, right? And I've mentioned that not everybody has to be Ted Lasso, right? And it takes all of the different skill sets, both the actual technical skills. And I think Beard was more the tactician than Ted, right? We know that Ted, there was an entire internet of things Ted didn't know about the offsides rule, as well as, soccer in general. But then also the soft skills, right? And they would ask Higgins, when the Diamond Dogs got together. So it is important to have a whole team that rounds out. One of the activities we have in the book, they say that you are the average of the 5 people, your 5 closest contacts. Yeah. And we have you rate your contacts on all of these different, across the spectrum of your core values of who supports you in that. They don't have to have that same core value as you, but who helps you be that better version of you. And it's interesting to think about it that way and to think about your company that way. Does the company round out being able to live by your core values? And does the culture feel that?
So let's talk about the rating for a second. Somewhere towards the back half of the book, you have this online on your website, which is leadlikelasso.com, I think. You have that the form that you can fill out to you want people to download their own personal operating system, right? And Marnie is in the book as an example. Here's my problem with these things, and I want you to fight me on this one.
Great.
No one is ever honest with themselves. And so you have in there, and I even specifically folded the page down because look how talk showy I am. You have the belief, conditioning, versatility, and awareness with a star scale, right?
Yeah.
I know people who, if they were going to go do this, would give themselves 5 stars across the board for that. It's page 176. I'm just going to point it out in your own book as you open it up. But like, I know people who, even under the personality component, they lie to themselves about it because they're so clouded by their own bullshit. You can bleep me, Eric. That I feel like. So how do you get someone past that? How do you get someone to actually really dig deep and like be truthfully honest about that?
Well, first, if you have a good true set of diamond dogs, they will be honest with you about that. And you should have that conversation. So in a little inside baseball tip on Lead It Like Lasso is my daughter is the one that gave me star ratings. So before we published the book, I had her go through and rate me. So if you want honesty, have a teenager or a 20-something. They'll let you know exactly where you're wrong. And then Nick absolutely is on my diamond dog. And I believe one of the things that is important about diamond dogs is they are your biggest fans and your harshest critics. And because you've built trust with them, that you can hear the hard things about yourself with them. So to do this, honestly, you should take a good run at it, but you should also go to those people that you trust to be honest about you and ask if that sounds accurate. And yeah, did I like to see handled pressure down there? I'm like, I like to avoid pressure at all costs. Oh, I can see. Yep. That's why she thought it was so low, you know?
Yeah.
Notice my operating system's not in the book because, like you said, Justin, I rated myself all 5s, and Marnie said, "Not a chance, big fella. That ain't happening." So
I like that Marnie said no. It wasn't the editor who was like, "Nick, this seems like bullshit." Like,
yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. I really do like that. Marnie, I do have a question specifically for you because I have little ones at home, and you put this in the book, and I need to call this out, and I'm going to publicly pull this out.
Yeah.
Your life hack of saying you can have any snack you want after you eat 7 fruits and veggies. Tell me how you Jedi mind tricked your kids into actually listening to you about it. Because if I say to my kid, you can have a snack, fruit or veggie, the amount, I mean, granted he's 8, the amount of crap I get in return for that. What am I doing wrong as a parent here?
No, it felt like a stroke of genius, frankly, when it hit. And what would happen is I'd be playing volleyball. We had a sand volleyball court in our yard. And the kids would always be like, can I have a brownie? Can I have a brownie? And I was like, and I explained that they were turning me into a nag because I was the one that had to constantly be saying no. And I didn't want to be the one that was constantly saying no. So I said, I want to basically, like in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to empower them to be able to say yes. And I said, like, I don't want to be the bad guy all the time. That doesn't feel good. So, but the reason I don't let you have 7 brownies is because that's too much. It's not good for you. So as long as there's a balance, we're at a party, it's a treat. I think a good rule is if you have 7 fruits or veggies, and my son loved carrots. So if you have 7 carrots, you don't even have to ask me for the brownie. That way because otherwise their plates, what do you do at a party? Like the kids would just load up all the junk and then nobody else loves any, they just feel gross. So it was all about, I had that conversation with them. And then, as I said in the book, all of the grownups at the party love to harass me about it. Miss Marnie, I had my fruits and veggies. I was like, great, then go get your brownie. I don't know why you're asking me. You know the rules. You can have it.
My kid would come back with 7 blueberries and then be like, look, I have 7. Like, he'd definitely find a way out of it. Where do you think what's next now? So now people are leading it like so. They've learned their lessons. They've bought and read your book. Where, by the way, people can buy it on Amazon.
Yep,
100%.
So everyone go on Amazon, buy the book, support Nick and Marnie. Where do you go from here? Where does not you, but where does the reader of the book? Where do they go from here? What's the next steps for them?
Well, I think one of the things that's unique about this book is we give you practical activities and exercises to kind of apply it. And our hope would be that and I view this as a parent, right? I've got a 19-year-old son, right, who's trying to figure out what to do with his life. He's trying to figure out how to lead himself, right? And my hope would be that people try to have conscious thought about how to improve themselves. And, I was recently, have you read Hidden Potential by Adam Grant, right? He talks about the fact that we're in the midst of a character revolution, right? With all the technology at our disposal, with AI that's out there, right? Everybody's kind of leveled out the playing field a little bit. Everybody's an expert at everything, right? What's going to differentiate you? What is going to differentiate you is your character skills, right? And that's what this book is about, right? You have to have the idea of paying attention to improving your character skills, your softer skills, because at the end of the day, if you're going to be successful in life, you need to start to differentiate, right? And our hope is that you take this book, right, that you guys are showing, and it makes you think about some of the things that you can do to help differentiate yourselves from other people and start to level up. So in our opinion, it's starting to apply, whether it's what we state in the book, or just to get you to think about some of the ideas that we state in the book and apply it to your own world and how to get better.
That's awesome.
Marnie, you have anything else to add to that?
No, I love that.
Nailed it in one, Nick. All right. Well, as we wrap up, real quick, can we get a Diamond Dogs? How do they say it? Can we get a Diamond Dog yell?
Oh.
No one has asked me to before, but that's
No one has done that yet. Come on. All right. So, Marnie, Nick, where can people find out more about the book? Where can they find more about you?
So lead it like lasso.com. Now, Amazon's the easy way if you just want to grab the book. Find us on LinkedIn. We're both easy to find there.
Awesome. Eric, any final words from Nick and Marnie?
So, first of all, I want to thank you guys, because when I pick up a book like this, I really appreciate the fact that you go through making it relatable and helping people find the system and the process that works for them, right? That's really important when I pick up a book of this genre. Now, I will say I did not have time to read this week, but this is also not a book that I just read, right? This is one where I spend, a half hour, whatever, every morning as part of my morning ritual, going through, reading, doing the practical applications of it, journaling if that's, if it lends itself to that kind of thing. But I do want to know, when's the Audible version coming out?
So we're aiming to do that in Q1. So we'll keep you posted.
Because usually what I like to do is I listen to it first, and then I do, when it's a study book like this, when it's a book that I want to carefully and mindfully go through, I like to listen to it first to get an idea of the whole thing, and then study it. And
I kid you not, Eric, every day this week we have talked about getting an Audible version.
If you need a voice.
Yeah.
I'm saying right here.
All right.
Just what you guys want. More of me out there.
Well, the funny part is I don't cuss, but as we know, Roy at the beginning does a good bit. So I've already said,
I can do, you know what? I'll do the
imaginary.
Prep. I'll do the prep. I'll call you the second my kids piss me off and I start going all Roy Pensy. I'll call you. I'll read the prep, and then just do the whole thing for you. Then you run with that. The rest of it you can do on your own.
Sold. I love it.
Awesome. Well, Nick, Marty, thank you so much for being here. As always, check out all of our episodes of the All Things MSP podcast on all your favorite podcasting tools. Join the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/All Things MSP. Watch what this looks like in a new video format over at the YouTubes, youtube.com/@allthingsmsp. I think I've hit all the links, which means, Eric, I'm good to say bye.
Appreciate y'all.
Near.
Do you have files or email to move from one platform to another? Or maybe you're doing a digital transformation from on-premise servers to the cloud. Check out MoveBot, one of our premier sponsors here at All Things MSP. Moving files and email during a transition, onboarding, or upgrade can be time-consuming, tedious, and be derailed by surprises and risks. Reduce your technician workload and increase migration reliability with MoveBot. Check out MoveBot using our special link, which you can find in the description of this post, or just go directly to atmsp.link/MoveBot. From your host, Justin Esgar, and myself, thank you for listening to the All Things MSP podcast. Join the All Things MSP Facebook group or follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. The All Things MSP podcast is a BizPow LLC production, and even though we drink a lot of it, this podcast is still not sponsored by Liquid Death. And now that you've watched that mess of a podcast, don't forget to watch one of these and go ahead and click that subscribe button so you get to watch more. Yeah, just go ahead and do it. Click the button and then watch one of the other videos. I'm watching.